Okay, good afternoon, everyone, online and on site. Welcome to today's IE seminar series. In today's seminar, we are very pleased and honored to welcome Professor Wu Mei from the Yunnan University from mainland China, my good friend, to give us a presentation and also sharing about the ethnic minority education policy in mainland China. And before the presentation, I also want to briefly introduce Professor Wu. Professor Wu is an associate professor of the Research Institute of Higher Education at the Yunnan University. And she is also the director of the Center for International and Comparative Education. She has a very broad and diverse, actually, academic background, business and also tourism, and then now in higher education. So Professor Wu can give us a lot of perspectives, in my opinion, to higher education and to ethnic minority education. I also want to mention today we are very pleased to have the guest, Professor Guo from University of Hong Kong, to join us, and also Professor Wang Ju, the Dean of the Research Institute of Higher Education, to join today's seminar. Okay, without further ado, let's welcome Professor Wu to give us the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Xiong, for your kind introduction. And I have my special thanks to Dr. Guo from University of Hong Kong, and Dr. Wang Ju, my dean from Research Institutes of Higher Education in Yunnan University. So my presentation today is, the title of the presentation is Strengthening Compulsory Education for Chinese Ethnic Minority, the No One Less policy. Okay. It doesn't work, sorry. Okay. Okay. I remember when I studied in the United States, my professors asked me who are the ethnic minorities in China. I took it as granted. I thought everybody should know, but actually not. And it has a definition for the ethnic minorities in China. It was defined as a historically constituted, stable community of people formed on the basis of a common language, territory, economic life, and a psychological makeup manifested in a common culture. Yeah, then this is the definition actually was followed by the former Soviet Union, which had recognized officially 190 ethnic groups in Russia. But in China, how many ethnic groups were recognized? And yeah, from this pie chart, you can see that the okay, you can see from this one, 91% are Han ethnic group, and about 9% are ethnic minorities. There are 55 ethnic groups listed here. And except the Hui and the Manzu, the two ethnic group, they speak Chinese Mandarin, and the rest of them, 53 ethnic groups have their own languages. And here, 22 I highlighted in yellow, ethnic groups have their own written scripts. And actually, some ethnic groups use different languages within their subgroups. And according to the official data, there are totally 72 ethnic languages spoken in China. But according to the Western scholars, the number of languages spoken in China ranges from 80 to more than 100, despite the fact that there are only 55 officially recognized minority nationalities. And there is not a one-to-one correspondence between language and national identity in China. And the extent of language diversity in China's minority area has not yet been fully explored. So Western researchers, they think it's more than the number of the languages spoken in China actually is more than the officials' reports. So the diversity of ethnic minority language was a major barrier to spreading public education across China. This is a map of languages spoken in China. You can say that Mongolian is spoken in Mongolia. Tibetan was spoken in Tibetan, and Korean was spoken in northeast of China. So look at this area, southwest of China. There are many languages spoken here, and this is Yunnan province where I'm from. And also there are a lot of local dialects spoken in China in this area, including Cantonese. So it's one of the local dialects. And, according to the Professor Ma Hong from Peking University, he said that if learning English allows people to go anywhere in the world, then learning Mandarin allows people to go anywhere in China. What does it mean here? Think about those minorities in Yunnan. If they cannot speak Mandarin, it's hard for them to go to the other places. Since I'm come here to Hong Kong, I have been thinking, what are ethnic minorities in Hong Kong? And this is the chart I downloaded from the government website. So from this, you can say that there are 8.4% of population are ethnic minorities in Hong Kong. They are Indonesian, Filipino, white, Indian, Pakistani, Japanese, Nepalese, Thai, and other Asians and others. What are the differences between China, mainland China, and Hong Kong in terms of the ethnic minorities? Is any differences? Okay, I think, it's a huge difference here. In Hong Kong, it's very international, and those minorities, they come from the other countries. They have their own education already before they come, or they come here, they study English a lot, right? Or Cantonese. If they was born here, they were born here. But in China, you can tell their ancestors living there. They lived there generations by generation. The education is very different. So China is a multi-ethnic, multicultural country. It confronts a great challenge and difficulties in educating its ethnic minorities. So the government set up the educational preferential policies to help the minorities to develop. According to the Saltman, the PRC has one of the oldest and the largest programs of state-sponsored preferential policies for ethnic minorities. And these preferential policies are intended to narrow the economic and the social gap between Han and the minority people. And those policies, including the creation of special schools and classes for ethnic students, emphasize on training teachers for nationality areas, financial support for minority education, and additional points awarded on national exams. For the number 4, which is very significant, because in China we have a Gaokao. If Gaokao, you earned 1 more points, which means a huge group of people left behind you. So when couples, if the Chinese Han ethnic people who marry an ethnic minority, they always choose their children to become an ethnic minority. In that way, they can enjoy the points for the examination. So now the ethnic minorities, the population growing a lot. It's one of the reason is because of this policy. And China, in order to have all children to have so yeah, how to say, I have an opportunity to study in the school. So in 1986, the government set up 9-year compulsory education. And it has a revision in 2006. It was considered the most powerful legislation ever passed to make 9-year schooling opportunity available to all children nationwide. With the popularization of compulsory education and the rapid expansion of post-secondary opportunities, China is approaching a key historical juncture. The first time that children from nearly every family, religion, and nationality will attend school. So that was a study in 2006. However, after the 20 years of compulsory education implementation, many households still could not afford to send their children to school. There are some issues, funding issues, gender issues, property issues. For example, the rural countries continue to struggle over how to fund 9-year compulsory education. About 70% of Chinese illiterates or semi-illiterates were women. And rural children in China were particularly vulnerable to poverty, ill health, and educational barriers. The rural poor and ethnic minorities have had the lowest school enrollments and highest dropout rates. That's the huge problem, even it has been implemented to 20 years. So what to do to prevent the dropouts from the school? So the government tried to tackle the problem of dropouts due to the poverty and health issues. In 2006, the waiving the school fees for all the children and providing a full lunch, extra meals for those children who are from poor families. And also in 2017, the government issued this policy. It's called No One Less policy, which is preventing and controlling school dropouts. The aim of the policy is to zero dropouts from the school. What's special about this policy? Firstly, it's assigned the responsibilities to county level governments. So it's a government's responsibility to keep the children in the school. Secondly, require school to improve the educational quality. And also they register, file, and sorry, it's a mistake here, and follow up the students with the financial difficulties, disabilities, to provide targeted assistance. Also, it set accountability mechanism to set for local governments and their main leaders. Sorry. Sorry. I had some throat problem. So actually by the early 2021, the policy has made progress and achievements. According to the Minister of Education, Actually, he announced on the TV that the dropout rate at the basic education level that was initially identified as caused by the financial difficulties was 0. And also the government, how to say, made good use of education to stop passing of poverty from generation to generation. Another program made is the promotion of gender equity, because in China, the rural area and this poor area, the family, they always choose to send boys to the school if they have financial difficulties. Since the government has this policy, and also with the office, the girls also had the opportunity to go to school. And also the increasing enrollment of ethnic minority students at all the educational levels. So there are statistics that shows that the ethnic minority students increased greatly, I would say. So today I would like to share with you the case in Yunnan province. This is the map of China, and you can say this part in red is Yunnan province, and it shares borders with Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar. Geographically, Yunnan province is very diverse. In the northwest part, you can see it's a mountain area, and actually this is it's a part of the Tibetan high plateau. So the weather there is the alpine weather, alpine weather, alpine, how to say that, plateau weather is very cold over there, and lots of snow mountains. But here, the altitude is only 600. It's the how to say, the rainforest weather. It's very hot. And there are 25 ethnic groups living in this province, originally from this province. Because the mountain area, the people had difficulty to communicate to each other. So they live at the certain area. So those minorities, they formed, live in their small communities and become their ethnic groups. And this map shows the place of our institutes, our, how to say, field study sites in Yunnan. And we have at those areas like Diqing, Dali, Baoshan, Dehong, Linchang, Pu'er, Banna, Honghe, Wenshan, and Zhaotong. And those all with the circles are our field study sites. Example here, oh, sorry, I would say. No, and those field study sites, actually the schools. We have signed the contract with them. Some we have signed, some we have contacts, but we have not signed any contracts. For example, the one at Diqing Tibetan autonomous prefecture, we have a primary school there. It's called Shangri-La Tiger Leaping Gorge County Primary School. And in this school, there are 92% of students are ethnic minorities. For example, the Yi, Zhang, sorry, this is in Chinese, Li Su, Miao, Bai, Hui, Naxi, and Pumi. So there are lots of them from ethnic minorities group. And it's interesting that in this school, since those kids are from a mountain area, it's hard for them to get to the school. And it's a boarding school, so they scheduled the class for study for 10 days. Then they, how to say, off for 4 days in order to let the students come and go back, can stay longer and come study longer. make them convenient for the transportation. But they encountered a lots of problem for the to manage all the, how to say, the learning, teaching and learning. And they also say, oh, please come to help us, since we are from the Institute of Education. So this is the example that thank you. For our study sites, we also have a school, the middle school in Dali, and middle school in Baoshan, in Lincang, etc. And those sites, you can, from the picture, you can tell how it looks like. This is Wenshan, Zhuang, and Miao Ethnic Autonomous Prefecture. And this is the village. And this is in the school. And those are their performance for their local saying. This is actually from a Poya Geshu, the picture. And this is our study group. We went there. So our study are all implemented in these sites. And lots of them are from my students. During the implementation of this policy, we call 控辍保学. The school actually encountered great challenges and difficulties. And there are enormous responsibilities and pressures at a local level. For example, as I just mentioned before, there are so many difficulties for those children to study in a school. A lot of students dropped out. They don't want to go there. So for a student who dropped out of school, 7 or 8 people would work around him or her, including the principal, head teacher, subjects teacher, township cadres, village cadres, and even mayor's card is used to help to, try to get these kids to come back to school. There are some pictures to share with you. The policy implementation was seen as a nightmare at the local level. Look at this picture. The kid was sent back, sent back to school by his grandpa, looks like. And this is his PE teacher. When he was sent back, they took picture to show, okay, this kid, so we took him back. Once they get back, the principal will talk with the student, persuade him, you have to come back, right? So to continue your study. And this is one also, the teacher, 2 teachers brought him back. The 2 children dropped out, brought back to the school, took picture as evidence. Okay, and this picture, you can see during the night. And the government officer, the school teachers, school administrators, and even police officer, and the school, the security person come along to the street near the school to find out if students come out for entertainment in like internet bar, dancing hall, and also this karaoke place, to say if they come out for those. Because in this policy, the streets near the school cannot open business like this, and it not allow the minors to go to these areas. So during the night, they have to come out to check. And teachers also have to go to the village to find their parents, say, oh, why your child, right? Why your child didn't come to school? If they didn't at home, and they go there at night, look at those pictures, they talk with the parents and the students there, those are teachers, come to persuade them to go back. Those kids was found and by the teacher, ask them to go back, and also those. And they all look like guilty, like criminals. So it's very difficult for teacher in the school. They cannot concentrate in teaching. They have to go out to find those kids who don't want to study. So this is the voice from teachers. The teachers' enthusiasm on work was highly affected. One of the reasons is that the legal protection of minors has been blindly expanded. Sorry. Controlling dropouts and ensuring the education has been misused, I would say, by some students who leave the school at will. They just left, right? The school disciplines and the teachers' classroom rules were trampled on. Under the pressure of zero dropout policy, no matter whether the students' leaving is reasonable or not, at the end, the school heads and teachers have to bow to them and invite them back to school. That's a very difficult, right? Please go back. Otherwise, we cannot. And our responsibilities is not performed. If a student left the school because of teachers' criticism, the teacher had to apologize to students and ask him or her back to school. In order to retain the students, schools and teachers even have to agree to some unreasonable requirements from students, such as not handing homework, playing with mobile phone in class, sleeping, eating snacks, and so on. Those have seriously damaged, those have seriously damaged the dignity of teachers and bring frustration to the work and hurt their enthusiasm as a teacher. In China, actually, teacher is highly respected and they have a great power, right? But because of this policy, they have to, become very soft and to keep those kids back to the school. Of course, we are not blaming, we would find out why the kids don't want to go to school, right? We're not blaming them for everything, but what happened here? Because of this policy, all those schools have to report zero, the dropout rate. They cannot say we drop out 10% or something. It's not allowed. So according to the Postillon, some students' names appear on attendance rolls, even though those students did not attend school. Also, it was revealed that some schools sold diplomas to students who had never attended. And due to the zero dropout policy, the schools could not report any dropout rate. However, the actual dropout rate was 22.48% for male ethnic students and 8.72 for the Han and other ethnic groups for the 2012 to 2021 batch students in one of these minority schools, Miao minority schools. The gap between the government's data and the reality for school dropout remains unclear. So when people ask me what's the dropouts, I didn't know exactly what it is. So there are many reasons why the ethnic kids, right, they drop out. One is the early marriage. One of the parents of a male student said that the male ethnic group's tradition was to get married when they were 14 or 15 years old. It's abnormal not to date when boys and girls are 13 or 14 years old. They have a custom of a trial marriage in which they are actually living together. They think pregnancy is condition for marriage. Some male students who are already 13 or 14 years old when they are in the grade 5 or grade 6. Actually, it's still in the primary school. Their parents give them permission to be with someone for trial marriage. So that is a male ethnic group. They once they get pregnant, they will not come to the school. Sorry. And also the unified curriculum and the exam-oriented education is difficult. They create difficulties for the kids to follow. For example, the unified curriculum contents were difficult for the minority students. As we can say, we can tell that there are 55 ethnic groups. They all has very different cultures, and they have their languages. It's actually very difficult. But China is a large country in terms of the territory and the population, but the whole country uses unified curriculum. So it's very difficult. Teachers reported that the pace and progress of the current curriculum was too fast, and the contents were urbanized, which were hard for rural and ethnic minority students to accept and adapt to. It's difficult culturally, right? And so many things. And by actually, it's my student, she wrote this. She concluded that it can be confirmed that the poverty of a family economy is no longer the main reasons for male junior high school students to drop out. Okay, now you don't need to pay anything. Please come to study, right? But they still cannot continue. Instead, the learning difficulties and the lack of interests in the exam-oriented education become a major reason for the dropouts. It's difficult. Actually, in China, not only those ethnic minority students, they drop out. A lot of Han students, they also drop out because of the exam-oriented education. So much competition, so many competitions, and too many contents for them to learn, and they feel like bored. Yeah, cannot follow. One thing is they cannot follow the teaching and learning. That's a big problem. So conclusion and discussion. Compulsory education policy and its enhancement policy, the one which is no one less policy, aimed on zero dropout, successfully ensured all school children in the school. I had a group interview for those principals from villages. I asked them a question: what is the goal of your school? And one of them told me that to execute the government's policy, which is keep all children in the school, but not the quality, teaching, learning, quality. They just keep them in the school. We asked some questions. We confirmed what their duty is, keep them in the school, but we don't care how much they learn. That's difficult. They said, we have so much responsibilities. We have been performing the government's responsibilities, the teachers, because they cannot even sit standing there to teach. They have to go out to find out dropouts. However, it could not prevent hidden dropouts, which caused by learning difficulties of ethnic minorities due to language barrier, cultural differences, and tough national curriculum. During the implementation, the local governments at all levels, schools, educational administrators, and teachers bore enormous responsibility and pressure and could not focus on regular school education. The educational needs of ethnic minorities were not met due to the single unified curriculum. The study suggested to set a reasonable limited dropout rate as a goal instead of zero dropout. In Finland, I think the national-wide dropout is about 2%, but Finland is a quite small country compared with China. But China is huge, but we have a very ambitious goals, zero dropouts. It's a very challenging, difficult. Thank you, and I would like to take your questions. Thank you.
You can keep the